So welcome to Ashtanga Yoga short forms. It's important to remember that Ashtanga Yoga is for everyone. It doesn't matter how much time you've got, how much you feel like doing, how much you can do. You can do something that approximates the primary series and get the work you need to without ruining the series or being inauthentic or untraditional or any of the other things that cross our minds. If we can't, generally we feel if we can't do the whole thing, then we can't do it at all. Now this is a shame because we can. We've got 45 minutes, we've got 20 minutes, we've got 10 minutes. We can do something with the fundamental technique of vinyasa, connective breathing to moving, and the kind of rhythm and the breathing that goes within the connection of posture to breath. Right? We've got a posture to breath connection and we've got a moving shape between that, right? So as long as you've got the technique, basically, you're doing Ashtanga Yoga. And without further ado, let's get into the start. And it's practical sense, really. We're going to do 3 sun salutation A's, 3 B's, and some standing postures, and then onto a variety of the seated postures, using the most perhaps effective ones that we can. So about 40-minute practice. Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, hands up. Fold forward, exhale. Reach the chin, head up. At least for the first one, step back. You want your shoulder over the fingertips. Use your legs, push down. Inhale. You can keep your knees on the floor if you need to. Again, we modify it as we need, or the feet on the floor. Pull the chest through the arms. And 5 breaths. And here, as you exhale, you just gently pull the stomach in and pull the hands and feet together. 2. You see the way the back rounds on the exhale breath. 3. So as I mentioned, you've got this vinyasa in and out of shapes, but you've also got this movement with the breath within the shape. And looking forward, pull with your hands, even if your knees are on the floor, and pull downwards and through with the neck as you exhale. And inhaling. Imagine you're going to carry the hands up. Look up to your thumbs and hands down, slightly down the front of the body, so they're slightly in the front, some after the ear. And the second one, inhale. Look up to your thumbs, so your head goes back. Keep the stomach in, come down, as if over a bar. Head up again. And you can step back or jump back here, a little hop maybe. High plank, use your heels. Looking forward if you can. You could look down as well. Again, you can come down on the knees, you can keep the toes tucked under, or you're on the top of the feet. You can keep the feet flat, or just put the toes down. Pull with your hands, pull your chest through. You can keep the knees down, and you're quite welcome to come back. So you have to modify it, come back using the knees. You have to modify it to suit your demands, what you need. 2. And as you exhale, remember you're pulling the belly in. We'll also stretch the neck. 4. Looking forward, you can jump or step to the hands. So this time we'll try a little jump, pressing the weight in our fingers. And inhale, jumping forward. Look up. Pull with the hands, even if the legs are bent, remember. And pull with the hands, chin in. And inhale. Remember, we're going to carry the hands up. By pulling the stomach in, the hands are naturally raised up. And the hands down the front of the body slightly, so the shoulder stays forward all the time. Last one, inhale. Again, softening the knees, stomach in, you come down as if over that bar. More technique, less work. That's the good news. Head up, step or jump back. This time we're going to step again. Shoulders over the fingertips, elbows in. You could look down or look up. Push your heels back though. Remember, it's fallen staff position. Inhale. Feet could be on the floor or straight up into it. Pull through, and then the head goes last at the last moments. And downward dog again. But also try this. If you're struggling to understand this breath movement here, on the exhale breath, you kind of step back into the feet. Inhale, bend them. Exhale, pull the stomach in and step back. Inhale, bend them. Exhale, pull the stomach in and step back. So you're kind of emphasizing to yourself the breath through the legs. Looking forward, press your fingertips down, squeeze the mat apart, and see if you can jump as lightly as you can between the hands. Inhale. You may take a slightly heavier land first of all, but you're working. You're working, or at least you have something in your mind's eye. Looking up. Remember, you're pulling the stomach in, so you're not pulling the shoulders back. You're just carrying the hands up. Samasthiti. And Surya Namaskara B. So we've done 3 of A, 3 of B, and that's more than adequate. Remember, you're keeping the shoulders forward, and the heels are slightly apart, so the legs are slightly hollow. Now bend the legs and carrying the hands. And fold forward, exhale. Head up, inhale. Step or jump back. And Chaturanga, exhale. Remember, pushing the heels back. The upward dog. And downward dog. Back foot 45 degrees. Pushing off the back foot. And carrying the hands up. Look up to your thumbs. And 1 breath down if you can. And feel free to break it up there. I'll show you on the next part. Inhale up. And exhale back. Left leg turns out. So you might want a wider stance here. Traditionally it's heel to heel. You could widen the stance, so you make it wider. Your hips should be square forward. Then as you carry the hands up, looking up to the thumbs, you may take an extra breath. And put the hands down, you may take an extra breath as well. Bring it back. So there may be extra breaths there, and you just know that you're doing the extra breaths. And 5 breaths. Doesn't matter whether you are or not, it's more important you're just conscious that you are taking them. Remember, the system is only a blueprint. Just a kind of a template to work within effectively. Doesn't mean you have to do the whole thing. It's just an ideal in a way, or a guideline. Looking forward, stepping or jumping in head. And fold forward again, exhale. Head up, bend the legs in head. Remember, you're carrying the hands up, looking to your thumbs, and Samasthiti, exhale. Second one, so remember, chin is in, tailbone tucked slightly, and hands up. Inhale. And fold forward, exhale. Head up again, inhale. The breath should be equal throughout each phase of this movement as possible. Exhale. Imagine you're breathing to the beat of 3. 2, 3, and exhale back. 2, 3. And right leg forward, 90 degrees if you can, the knee. 2, 3, and down. 2, 3. Inhale up. 2, 3. Exhale back. Left leg forward. Inhale up. 2, 3. And exhale back. 2, 3. Inhale. And then 5 breaths. Stay there breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and looking forward, jumping or stepping. So it could be stepping. This is fine. Keep the hands on the floor. Even if the legs are bent, use them to pull you forward, and then use them to guide you inwards. Now bend the legs. Squeeze the knees together. Carry the hands up. Look up to your thumbs. And Samasthiti. Last one of A. Inhale. And fold forward. Exhale. Head up again. Inhale. Lift the chest. Chaturanga. Jump or step back. Exhale. Use your heels. Push your heels back. Look forward if you can. Inhale. Pull with the feet. Pull with the chest. Exhale. Right leg forward. Remember, you can have a square hips here, so the foot could be wider, the stance could be wider. Look up to your thumb. And exhale. Taking an extra breath if you need here. Inhale. And exhale. Left leg forward. Could be a wider stance. Remember, you're not pulling the shoulders back. As you press the hand, you kind of pull down through the legs, stretching your back. Exhale. Inhale. And 5 breaths. Stay there. Keeping the chin slightly tucked into the throat. Making sure you're lifting your arches of the feet, your inner ankles. 3, 4, and
looking forward, stepping or jumping to the hands on the inhale breath. Inhale. Look up. And exhale, falling forward. Inhale, bend the legs, looking up to your thumbs, and exhaling, Samasthiti. A variety of standing postures, just a few of them. Have the feet spread. We'll do the first Padangusthasana. Catching the toes, look up. Even if the legs are bent, remember you're taking the toes. And exhale, the elbows are wide. So what you want to do is pull the heels apart, pull the elbows apart. And you see you get the width across your back, you get the neck coming through. And exhale, you just pull back with the stomach as if you're hanging off the toes on the exhale. It's important to recognise the shape is a moving, breathing shape. Inhale, look up again, and you lift and you do an opposite position with the chest. Now you're going to an elongated back. Exhale, chin in. Inhale, coming up with a round back, and the head comes last. And exhaling, Samasthiti. Triangles, we're just going to do the first triangle. Don't skip the middle position, so you're in the middle of the mat. And as you do this, you roll your elbows in, pull the chin in, and pull the tailbone in. Then exhale, you square the hips fully to the back of the mat. Bend the leg and catch the right toe. Pushing into the toe, pull back with the leg as best you can, and then just pulling across your body into the fingertip. And a long neck, looking up, looking up. 2. And the knee can be ever so slightly softened if you like. 3. You should feel the stretch across your armpits. 4. And you're keeping the tailbone tucked so you're not sticking the bum out. Look at the foot. Get your grounding, bend the leg, come up. Pause here, pulling the chin in, and you turn to the other side. Again, your hips are square. Bend the leg, so you're coming down from the stomach and catching the toe. And you push into the toe and pull against it with the arm, looking up. Keeping the tailbone tucked. 2. 3. 4. And as the exhale pulls the belly in, kind of pulls across your shoulder blades. Look at the foot, bend the leg, use your stomach to come up. Hold it here. And step forward. Remember the shoulders are slightly in, the hands are slightly forward of the thighs. Chin in. Long side stretch. And again, we're going to avoid the twisting until we sit down. Inhale, hands up. And exhale, turn to the back of the mat. Hips are square again. You could use a block here, putting the hand on the block if you need to, or even resting the hand on the elbow on the knee, sorry. Pushing the knee against the arm. You push this knee inwards towards your arm. Now see if you can turn to the back leg, as if you're pushing against a wall here. So you're pushing back on the exhale and turning the chest to the ceiling, as if the whole chest is spreading against the wall behind you. After 5 or 10 breaths, depending on how you feel, look at the foot, bend the leg, coming all the way up, pause here, and follow your left hand down. Again, the tailbone's tucked in, as all the standing postures, you never want to turn the bum out, so keep the hips square, push the knee against the arm, then on your exhale, again this revolving of the chest towards the ceiling, so you really feel like you can spread the back against the wall behind you. Holding yourself between both thighs, so you're not lunging into the left leg, you're rather using your stomach rather than just collapsing into the leg, and the head is turning from the armpit to the fingertips, so revolving towards the ceiling. Look at the foot, bend the leg, coming up, inhale, pause here, and step forward, Samasthiti, chin in. Pratsaritas, we'll do 2 of them. Hands go on the waist. The weight is in the front of the foot, the chin in. Using the stomach again, coming down as if over a bar, and take the hands on the floor, look up. And then walk the hands through the legs. Try and keep your elbows parallel to your shoulders. You might want to use a block for the head here. If your head is away from the floor, just rest in the block, rest in the head. And then pulling the elbows through the legs as you lengthen the neck down. See if you can pull the mat between your feet so you're pulling across your hips. So 5 or 10 breaths. Looking up again, inhale, and you do the straight back as I mentioned with the first posture, and then the rounded back to come up, with the head coming last like a ripple on the end of the spine. And the second one, the hands come up and behind the back. Keep the shoulder down, don't be tempted to pull them back, keep the shoulders down. Again, soften the knees so you can come down from the stomach, not collapsing into the joints. Then as you exhale, the hands are not going to the floor. You place the head on the floor if you can, but it doesn't matter if you can't. Just pull the hands apart. So you stretch across your shoulder blades. Right? So rather than pulling the ligaments, the shoulders out of the joints, you're just pulling across your shoulder blades. After 5 or so breaths, coming up. And there are 4 of those, so you can play with 2 of them maybe, 2 out of 4. And hold the waist, pull the chin in. And then step forward. And the hands by the sides, the chin in, Samasthiti. Parsvottanasana. Again with the shoulders. See if we can take the hands into prayer. And they're not going into prayer. Hold the forearms, that's fine. And step into the back of the mat again. I'll show it the front. Keeping the weight over the back foot. And there's a bar here. You're going to come down over the bar with the chin. Doesn't matter how far you come. But you should use the stomach to hold you, not the kneecap of the right leg, right? And you're looking a bit to the foot so you can stretch the neck. And pressing the whole palm together between the shoulder blades if you can. Bend the leg, coming all the way up. Pause here. And then you do the left side again. Don't stick your bum out. Keep the tailbone tucked. Imagine there's a bar. Then you're coming over that bar with the chin. Keeping the weight over the back foot. And reaching the chin. Right? Pushing the hands together. And keeping the shoulder down in their joints. Bend the leg when you're ready. Come up. Pause here. Exhale. Keep the hands where they are. Just to follow the traditional vinyasa. And step forward. And release the hands, Samasthiti. This could be enough of a practice just like that. We've done a variety of the standing postures. We miss out the leading leg, UHP, Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, leg raise. We miss out a couple of extra postures, the warrior postures at the end, because we've kind of done them in the standing postures. But that is more than adequate for a full primary series standing positions. And then if you'd like to join me next time, we'll do an abbreviated version of the seated positions. Abridged primary series version of the seated positions. Again, you don't have to do everything. Do something that's effective, you get the work in. The ones you can even pick. I'm going to give you a selection of the ones I think most efficient. But pick and choose. Change them up. Some days do some days do some of the other ones, right? So it's your choice. It's a free practice. These are tools. The system is an ideal, a blueprint. You should use it how you need. It's for you, not the other way around. So without further ado, let's look at a seated postures, abridged practice. So from downward dog, looking forward, bend the legs, chest is looking, shining through the arms, and jumping the knees into the chest, try and catch them on the chest. Inhale. Down. Push the balls of the big toes forward, press the hands, pull the hands apart, pull the chin in. So you're reaching the toes forward, putting across with the hands, putting the chin in. So Dandasana, there's some work here. And as you exhale, you pull the belly back and you pull the chin in, right? It's important not just to rest there, it's setting up the whole precedent of all the positions of the seated postures, right? You've got the cross stretch, the reach, and the chin in. Paschimottanasana. We'll do one of these, and you can choose one. There's the toes, over the top, the sides, or even the wrist. I also like to include placing the hands on the floor and pulling back as you exhale. The important thing is you're pulling back against the legs. So let's do the first one for argument's sake. Taking the toes, push them forward, head goes up, and then you pull back against that as you exhale. So you can see, as I exhale, I'm moving backwards with my stomach, but I'm still reaching the chin forward. It's as if I'm hanging off the feet as I pull back with my stomach as I exhale. So I'm using the legs, but I'm trying to stretch the back, really. It's not in the hamstrings. If this is difficult for you to get the legs straight and come down, you can either sit on a block or bend the legs. It's not about the hamstrings, it's about stretching the back. Say you finish that, and as you've gone to a slightly rounded back here as you've done Paschimottanasana, you kind of regulate that by the straightening of the back as you inhale. Just as you went into it on the inhale, you come out of it on the inhale and really pull back and try to look behind yourself. And exhale there. Come to the front of your mat. So let's go through a jump back first of all, and then you're free to choose what you fancy doing in terms of a jump back. Now the technique of the jump back is half of it really. If you know the technique, you might find you can do it where you thought it was your body or you just couldn't do it. Hold the hands onto the thighs. Bring the thighs onto the chest. And now widen the knees, and you'll notice the feet can be higher and they're tucked underneath you already, and the hands go down. And if you drop the shoulders, you'll notice you can bend your elbows. And if you look at the feet now, you see if you can just roll through the hands and skip over the feet. Inhale. Upward dog. And maybe you don't have to take all the vinyasas, or you could use your knees if you're tired. Downward dog. Let's look at a modified jump through. If you're tired now, bend the legs. You can skip onto the top of the foot, and then pressing the hands down, see if you can drag the feet through, and then sit down. Right? So you get the work, but you don't have to do the whole jumping. We'll skip the next one, and we'll work on the Lotus Seated, since we skipped the Lotus on the standing posture. You've got 4 corners of the Lotus. 4 corners, 4 principles of the Lotus. Circling, lifting, heel goes in the stomach, joint of the knee is sealed, and then you're coming around with the knee. So if you can take the toe, if you're not taking the toe, use a block underneath the knee, or catch the leg and hold it. If you're doing the full thing, you take the toe, the hand could be at the top of the foot, or the side of the foot. Pull back to start, because then you're going to go to around your back on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Head goes up and you pull back again. Exhale there. And then simply today, we're swapping sides. So notice there'll be a discrepancy. There'll be a difference between your 2 hips. One will be tighter than the other. So just try and honour that, or just look at it. Don't force it. Circling. Lift the leg up. The heel goes into the stomach. The joint is sealed. And the leg rolls around. It's important to do this one because you're getting the lotus work, the important lotus work. If the knee is in the air, use a block. Taking the hand around, see if you can catch, or not catching, just hold the foot. Don't go down, just hold the foot and push the ball of the big toe away from you. The chin stays in. You can still do the work. As you inhale, the chest lifts. As you exhale, you pull the stomach back slightly. So you've got this undulation through the spine. As you inhale, push, pull back. Your movement through the shoulder blades, controlling the diaphragm from the stomach. And then you've finished. You've taken or not, holding, look up, and exhale there. So it's important the vinyasa technique, as I mentioned at the start, comes on the inhale, entering and exhale, and inhale, finishing, and exhale. So the breath is guiding you into the posture and guiding you out of the posture. Let's look at a modification for the jump back. Place the hands in front of the feet, and then you press into the feet a bit, press into the hands a bit, come up a little bit, and then see if you can spring back. High plank, and always do high plank coming into low plank. It builds your strength and sets up the precedent for low plank. Inhale coming up, and exhale. So you have choices of how to jump. You don't even have to jump, you can step forward. Otherwise, crouch, look, pull the hands apart, shine the spotlight of the chest forward, and see if you can jump through this hoop on your inhale breath. Inhale. It takes time to build up the full thing, but just stick with it and you can find the ability. You keep thinking and keep questioning and keep practicing. Shavasana A. We're going to skip one. Shavasana A is a round back position. Flex your right big toe, pull back your left bum cheek. Keep the hips square. Keeping the hips square, take the foot. Taking the foot, look up, and then you do this long back position, because when you come into the posture, it's a pulling back of the belly and a really round back. It means head to knee posture. Exhale. And as you're exhaling, you're trying to push the right knee forward and pull the left thigh back. So you should feel a bit of a stretch across your lower back as well. And then when you finish it, you're looking up again, just to counterbalance that round back. And exhale there. You inhale and exhale, and then swap sides. Flex the left toe, pull back the right bum cheek, and the heel is all the way in the groin, all the way back if you can. You can have it further forward if you're struggling, or if the knee is in the air, again a block. Take the foot, take the ankle, look up, and exhale. And if you're just here, and this is fine, drop your head, dropping your head. As you exhale, just pull the stomach back. Inhale. So you're still getting the fundamental technique within the shape. It doesn't matter so much what the template is doing, just how you're moving within whatever template you've been given, as it were. Your body is not set in stone, but there's a precedent there which you have to follow. And if you're going to make any release, it comes from the inside of the technique, and then it follows on the outside gradually, not from the outside in. Head up and exhale. Come to the front of your mat. Cross your legs and see if you can lift up. Again, the tipping back behind yourself really helps. And the hands are in front of the thighs with the shoulders lowered, so the elbows bent. And then you see if you can press into the hands and roll through your back. Imagine your hand is connected to your back, not your shoulder itself. Inhale. Upward dog. And your upward dog, you can remember, you can do it with the knees, you can do it lower. You have to find something that works for you. Looking forward, taking your jump through. So again, could just simply be inhale, exhale, step, come down. As long as you're doing it with vinyasa, linking the breath to movement, you're doing the perfect practice. We'll do Marichasana A and Marichasana C. Marichasana A, the long body position again. Bend your right leg up. What you don't want is the heel all the way back, because that will just diagonal your navel sideways, and you want to be square. Most of the primary series postures are rather blocky, square postures. So the heel is slightly forward of the hip. Use your left hand, and you can really reach the right arm, look at it, and scooping around, see if you can lasso that thigh. Try not to pull the shoulders back, just keep them normal, forward, and look up. And then as you push the right thigh forward, it brings you down with the chin, by using the right leg as a lever to come down with the chin towards the shin here. Following the ball of the big toe, you see my ball of the big toe is reaching forward. My two shoulders are over my foot and my knee. After 5 or so breaths, looking up, and you get that stretch back again. Exhale there. Again, we're not going to do vinyasa, so we'll simply swap sides with an inhale and an exhale. And then you do the inhale, and the exhale, and the inhale, and exhale. So you can make this as slow or restorative as you like. Doesn't have to be so dynamic, so challenging. As long as you're linking the breath with the movement, you're doing the perfect practice. Doing the perfect style of Ashtanga. 3, 4. Inhale, head up, looking up. Stretch your neck. Try not to pull the neck back on the shoulders, just lengthen the neck, the throat. Exhale there. Come to the front of your mat. Again, we've got choices. You don't have to take the full vinyasa. You could try this. Placing the feet down, pressing the hands, pull with the stomach, come as high as you can so you get the flex back. You really flex back, and then you can step back. Always recommend you can do as many chaturangas as you can. If you need to use your knees, use the knees, and just take the shoulders at the height of the elbow. So you're trying to come down with the shoulder just along the height of the elbow. Hold it there, looking forward or down, and then you can come into your upward dog. Again, feet off the floor or on the floor. Exhale, coming back. Looking forward, taking your vinyasa, Marichasana C. So bend the legs, crouch, look to where you're going, and just jumping the knees back onto the chest as you inhale. Inhale. Marichasana C. Remember, you're only trying to twist at the chest. The hips stay forward, so in which case the heel should be slightly further forward, so you're not tipping back and twisting all the way back. Use a block and sit on it if you need to, or you could use a block and support your hand on it. The first part of it will just be holding the leg, lift as you inhale, and pull the leg away from you and look over the other shoulder as you exhale. Lift, exhale. So imagine you've got a dishcloth and you're wringing out this dishcloth full of water both directions, so the head is looking backwards, but the body is going forward. So try not to twist out of it, but rather pull yourself into it. If you're doing the full thing, obviously the arm comes around, and if you're a little bit more advanced, the leg is a bit wider, so your hip width apart. And as you inhale, you still get that lift. As you exhale, you try to push back, or pull back from the left leg, in fact, as you push the right leg forward. Try not to lean back. Try and be straight, keeping the chin in, looking down the bridge of the nose. Looking forward, and you exhale there. And again, because we're modifying, we're just going to swap sides with an inhale and an exhale. If it's hard for you, the foot obviously closer to the thigh will make it a lot easier to push the leg across you. If you're a little bit more advanced, the foot further back, the hand really close to the bum, Look at the right hand, reach it, reaching on your inhale, and then scooping that water, wrapping around. Catching if you are. Keep the shoulder down. It's tempting to pull the shoulders back, but you're trying to stretch across your back, not pull the ligaments of your shoulders. Pull your shoulders out of your joints. That will be not advisable. Lift as you inhale, twist as you exhale. Remember, you have the modification, the hand. Exhale, push the knee away. Inhale. Exhale, push the knee away. Inhale. Exhale. Scissor the legs against each other. Remember, the thighs are always doing opposite things. The legs are always doing opposite things. So at this point, the knee is going forward and the thigh is pulling back to keep you straight forward with the hips whilst you're only twisting at the sternum. Let's take our vinyasa and then onto Navasana, and we'll finish there for today. Upward dog. Downward dog. So if you're just learning this, I advise you don't jump too high. Keep the bum tucked rather than up. Keep the bum tucked, look forward, and just try and jump the knees on the chest, and then come down. And then you get stuck here. Okay, you've done a bit, you can come down. So there's options, you've got many options, that's the important thing. Navasana, well, you don't want it to collapse in your boat. And you've got two oars, you're holding the oars and lifting the chest. So it's okay to keep the legs bent, you'd rather do that than collapse in your boat. Keep the chest, the hand is by the height of the shoulder, and the chin is in, and the chest is lifted. Now point the toes and lift up. Imagine you're in that boat. Keep there for 5 or 10 breaths. But to lift the chest and reach the toes. So you're roughly a V shape with the lower back and the thighs. And the first time you just put the hands down if you like, push and pull. Push with the hands and pull with the stomach. So you get the idea, this kind of push and pull movement. We'll build it up. Do 2 more. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Cross the legs. Maybe you push and come up a little bit, slide the feet and come down. Again, you've got options. I'll show you the full one for the jump back. Finally, inhale, hands. Push down, get the feeling of the armpit grip. 2, 3, reach the toes. 4, lift the chest. 5, hug the thighs towards you, and let's see if we can take a lift all the way up now. And again, open your mind. You might find you'll come into that space, but if you close your mind to the fact you can't do it, you'll never do it. Widen your knees, drop your shoulders, hands are by the thighs. Now see if you can look at the feet and skip over the feet, inhaling. You're working up in levels. You find your stage of work and work efficiently at the stage you're in, and gradually from there, working at the right stage for you, you access your higher levels incrementally, slowly. Place the hands down, I'm going to take a step back now. Chaturanga, to upward dog, and downward. Coming forward, exhale. So again, as long as you're moving with the breath, you're doing a perfect practice. The practice isn't defined by degree, by quantity, but by quality. And the last 3 seated postures. So maybe you cross the legs. You're doing Sukhasana. You could do Sukhasana with the heel stacked underneath the knee, or the full lotus, in which case up, in and around, and then just tip onto the side and gently slide the leg and see if it feels good. If it doesn't, just release it. It's not worth it. And the full thing, the toes sticking over the hips like 2 ears, and you slightly come forward and twist. Slightly come forward and twist. If you're not taking the toes, this is pretty understandable at this point. Simply hold the elbows and come forward on the head for a number of breaths. So we've done 5 breaths here, coming up. Placing the hands on the knees, all fingers extended, even the first finger. And try not to look down, but rather keep the chin back. You've got the length in the crown of the head. As you inhale, you pull the belly in and lift the chest. You're pumping the chest through the arms. can't avoid Utpluttihi at the end, so just 5 breaths up in Utpluttihi. Keep the shoulders down. If you're not in Lotus, just lift the bum off the floor. See what you can do. The success of doing this posture is the pulling across with your hands. So you've got this cross pull and the chin comes forward. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and come down. Well done. Drawing the hands together. Take a few breaths here, pressing the hands, feeling yourself centered in the middle of your body, relaxing the back of the throat, where all the tension lies in that soft palate area. And just give thanks to your highest aim for this practice. Finding that aim. Give thanks for what you've done. Welcome to the last part in this series of a Bridge Primary series. Remember, you can do any part you want. Just noticing that the practice is defined by vinyasa, by technique, and not about the amount you do. So today, along the same lines, we're going to do the closing sequence within that same style of quality over quantity. Let's start off with the half back bend. You can take the ankles or simply place the hands on the floor. Squeeze the toes on the mat so you get this gripping of the thighs. You can use a block between the legs to grip the legs. And you're pulling the tailbone to the legs and the chest bone to the chin. So remember, the back bend is a wheel. It's actually a wheel, not a back bend. You're trying to go as long as you can with the chest towards the chin and the tailbone to the legs. And it's really the thighs. It's 80% in the thighs, kind of pushing them to the ceiling or firing 2 lasers up to the ceiling. And you work on this, as I mentioned in the primary series forward folds, it's the exhale that pulls you back. So the work is on the exhale, and the back bend, you're doing a back bend, so it's the opposite. The work is on the inhale rather than the exhale. So you could go inhale up and exhale down slightly. Inhale, push up, and exhale, come down slightly. Inhale, push up. You have to realise that the most effective way of moving in the shape is to move through the current, through the tide of the breath within the shape. And to that end, maybe sometimes you want to exaggerate the breath movement between the inhale and exhale. There's 2 phases of breath and they're slightly different. Maybe you want to do the 4th thing. Let's put the hands down. First of all, coming onto the head, getting yourself steady. And then see if you can come up. You can use the toes, tiptoes if you like to come up first. And then when you're up, then you should try and put the heels down and just squeeze the hands apart. So you're pulling across your back, but also kind of pulling the knees together. So you're pulling across with the hands, but slightly pulling the knees together. You've got this same kind of inhale, lifting, inhale. So you relax a little bit on the exhale, and you engage a bit on the inhale. And you can do this as many times as you want, just coming down the head each time. And if you like, you can walk the hands slightly closer to the feet. Use your tiptoes to come up if you like again, and then put the feet down. Importantly, you're really utilising the legs. So there's this kind of inner vector of energy gripping the thighs together. Come down, and maybe a tide here. You can come all the way down. And you can do the half one again, taking the ankles or the hands on the floor. And when you finish that, I would suggest don't be tempted to do the Chakrasana unless you're a fully adept primary series practitioner. Instead, why don't you try this? Placing the hands by the heels. As you inhale, you call them forward. As you exhale, you kind of draw them or drag them back slightly. Inhale, forward. Exhale, drag. And you look at my toes, they're still reaching forward. Inhale, forward. Exhale, dragging them back slightly. Inhale, forward. Exhale, dragging them back slightly. So it's the same as you're doing any forward fold, but it just gives you the emphasis or exaggerates this 2 phases of breath through the shape. Between the inhale and exhale, the shoulder blades move in opposite directions. So when you finish, like any other posture, you do your vinyasa out of it. Inhale, head up, and exhale there. And the exhale, you just settle yourself, ground yourself. So Practice is often playing between stability and dynamism. So you've got many points where you just pause and then you do a fast movement. So it's an interesting and continuous balance of these two qualities. Shoulder stand. Any trouble in the neck, take a little blanket, lay it over the shoulder and by the wrist. You can dangle, you can lie the head over that blanket. Also, you can just hold the bum like a little platter with the legs 45 degrees. If you're a little bit more adept, you try to come up with the straight legs all the way up and catching the back. And when you catch the back, what you're looking for is to place the hands together if possible and squeeze the elbows apart. You can probably see my hands, although my legs have gone off frame, walking the elbows together and zipping up the legs. You hold it for about 20 odd breaths, 25 breaths, and just plough. Again, we're modifying today, so simply with the hands, but you're trying to pull forward with the bum rather than the bum back over the head. So every inhale, you're trying to drag the thighs forward, the hips forward towards the floor, and stretch your tailbone. And for good measure, perhaps you want to drop the knees to the ears for a couple of breaths and just squeeze the hands together as a fist. Karnavadasana. And the hands go on the floor. And again, it doesn't matter so much how long you stay in these positions, although the closing sequence is better to stay a little bit longer if you can, but it's more a quality of how you breathe in and out of the shapes. Place the hands underneath the thighs. If you're in lotus, obviously you're catching the toes. If you're not, just coming on the head, holding the thighs. This fish, and you stay here for a few breaths. Again, it's more important you're moving in and out of the shapes with awareness, not how long you stay in the shapes. Uttampadasana, pushing the toes forward. Try not to reach forward with the arms, rather than pulling the shoulders back towards you. And you've got the length of the neck here, the relaxation of the throat. As I mentioned before, the throat holds a lot of tension, so you want to keep the throat nice and relaxed. Without the backwards roll, simply come up to seated, cross the legs, and step back. And do your vinyasa here. And exhale. And then come to the knees. Let's recommend, just to get the shoulders first of all, you do dolphin position. So the other important thing is the hands are pretty much a fist, with a tiny gap in between the thumbs, but not with the palms open, more of a fist. And you try dolphin, and that gets the shoulder position, so the shoulders are kind of away from the ears, and you walk up to as high as you can. And if you feel that you can do more than this, you put the head down, and maybe just walk up to your balance point and bend one leg, put it up, and then the other leg and put it up. And then maybe you bring both legs up and hold it there and come down. Obviously, if you're more adept at this, what you're trying to do, and you could do this by a wall first of all, is lift all the way up with the straight legs. And then when you're up, you lift the shoulders away from the ears, taking more weight into the shoulder and less weight into the neck. Remember, it's head position doesn't mean head stand. So you're not really trying to bear weight in the neck. Stay here for 20-25 breaths. And then see if you can do halfway. If you're not doing halfway, bend the legs maybe and just bring the legs in. Or halfway, touch the feet, coming all the way up. And I mentioned 25 breaths, but if you want to stay more, you're welcome to stay more, maybe up to 40 breaths. When you've finished, come down slowly, with control, and don't move the head, and you don't need to move the hands, just come down. The practice is very economical. If you don't have to do something, then you don't do any extra movements. Come to the front of your mat, you could step back, or you could try this vinyasa. Now this vinyasa is how to get the principle of your arm balance working. It's the lolasana, the most fundamental kind of arm balance you can do, really, the most basic technique building one. Place the hands in front of your thighs, coming forward with the shoulders over the fingertips. Try and draw the knees into the chest and balance there. You might find you need to cross the feet over each other, and that will help you. Yeah? Upward dog. Downward dog. Remember, it's your choice of vinyasa, but if you're stepping, inhale, exhale down. Our last three positions again, as I mentioned before. We've got the corners of the lotus, up, in and around. Tip to the side, slide it. If it doesn't work, cross the leg over and that's fine. Hands behind the back, or you're taking the feet. Coming down with the chin. If you're taking the toes, come down with the chin. If you're taking the elbows, just come down the top of the hip. When you finish, coming up again. Taking the hands in Yoga Mudra, and all fingers are straight, even the first finger. Remember, you're not pulling the head down, just pulling the chin in. The shoulder is slightly rolling inwardly because your elbow is rolling inwardly. Right? So you're holding yourself from your armpits and then the chin in. Imagine you've got a golden triangle, the two armpits and the chin creating that triangle. And perhaps you're not doing Utplitihi fully, you've got options. If the hands, the legs won't go on the floor, or the hands won't push down and lift your bum up, just place the hands down and lift up as best you can. 2, 3, you can use a foot on the floor or both feet on the floor. 4, 5, push down and lift up. 6, push down, lift up. 7, 8, push, lift. 9, and come down. Join the hands, center yourself, close your eyes, relax the back of your throat, give thanks for your practice. Find the aim of your practice, knowing what you want, doesn't matter what it is, really helps as well. Clarifying your intention for the sake of conviction and inspiration. And take a moment there, and if you have time, remember, at the end of your practice, always take a few minutes, lie down, Shavasana. It helps the energy percolate and settle. You've stirred the energy of the spine up quite a lot. You need those 5 minutes, crucially, just to settle the energy and restore the body and allow the effects of the practice to be absorbed by the body. Don't just rush off, if at all possible. If it's not, shorten the practice and take Shavasana, because you need Shavasana. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you again soon.